Hello. In our conversations with Africa's CEOs, today we speak to Mamokete Ramathe, the founder and CEO of Mamor Capital, an investment company with interests in a number of areas, including telecommunications. Ramathe founded Mamor Capital after spending over 15 years of her professional career facilitating investments across different sectors and with a particular interest in identifying viable investment opportunities in growing sectors of the economy, as well as driving meaningful value creation. I spoke to her about her career and her business. Mamokete Ramathe, thank you very, very much indeed for joining us on the BRICS Africa Channel.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So, before setting up Mamor Capital, you had quite a long and varied career, predominantly in financial services. Take us back to the early days and how you found yourself in this space.
Okay, I must say that getting into the financial services space, it's not something that I had planned or I knew more about. I think from matric, I hadn't been that much exposed to the financial services space, especially the investment banking space. But what I wanted, though, at that time, I didn't want to be following the stream that my parents or people that were close to me had been doing, like teaching, policemen or nurses, which is what we were surrounded by. And I was also fortunate that I enjoyed commercial subjects at school. And what I wanted to do was to just follow that stream, do something that could actually lend me into finance and so forth. So I chose commerce when I finished matric. It was only after, getting into varsity that I got a bit more exposed to the options that I would have. And I was also fortunate enough to get a bursary and have the opportunity to do vacation work. And I happened to do that within the investment banking space. And that's where I got the exposure and a bit more appreciation of the sector. So that's how I landed into it. Down the line, I've been in that space for about 20 years, over 20 years now, working across advisory, private equity, M&A, and the common thread throughout has just been evaluating investment opportunities, risk management, just end-to-end process of funding businesses and just working, supporting different business models across the industry. So yeah, it's been great. And in 2017, I then branched out from being in corporate to business. And here we are.
And we'll chat a little bit more about the business shortly. In that career where you were having pretty big jobs in sizable organizations, and dare I say, also being a woman at the same time, there must have been a few hurdles along the way. Were there any pivotal moments along the way that you can remember that helped you, I think, to set you up for what you're doing now?
Yeah, I think, in the industry, when you come into the industry, you are a Black woman, you're young. I was very young as well. And as you can see, even just the way I'm petite, it's very easy to be looked down upon. And there was a lot of work that one needed to do from the personal perspective, or some reflections and so forth. Because you come into a space that you're not familiar with. The corporate culture is different, is not what you are used to, and you always find yourself having to adapt. You're always learning, you always trying to be what you think the industry needs you. So that can cause a lot of insecurities, and sometimes what people also tend to call that imposter syndrome. You wonder if you belong here, you wonder if you're going to do well, if you're going to win in the industry. So over time, we have really learned to observe and line ourselves up with people who have actually gone ahead of us and have actually done well. I think that's among some of the things that have really helped us. Align yourself with people who actually have succeeded, see how they do it, see how they understand the rules of the game, and also mentorship, coaching, just to be able to reflect and have a different perspective from where you've been. And I always say, half the battle won in the space within the corporate is in the mindset. How do you see yourself? How do you see the value that you bring to the table? Because if you are doubtful and if you don't have confidence in it, and if you're not convinced, and you are selling yourself short, nobody comes and picks up the price. So you have to really believe in yourself. And that takes a process. It takes intention. It takes you really investing in yourself, to work in yourself and to make sure that you show up there authentically without being apologetic about what you bring to the table. So yeah, I think over time, one has really learned to believe in what in your own value proposition, and that has really contributed a lot in helping me navigate the space better.
So what would you say was the best bit of advice that you got that you said, when I look back, that really changed the game for me?
Look, when I started the investment banking space, I just remember I was working for one of the best or successful private equity company. I think Vantage Capital. I think that was one of the most exciting times for me. And I got the opportunity to work with the most brilliant minds, very good in what they do, and sit under the teaching of some of the experienced people. And when somebody tells you that you have got what it takes and you need to value what you bring to the table, because it sets the tone of the quality of relationships that you will build. How you view yourself is very critical. Invest in yourself and make sure that you yourself are convinced of your value proposition, and the rest will follow. And I think for me, embracing that throughout has really made a huge difference in my life, because I know it starts with me. It starts with how I look at what I bring to the table and how I value it. And then the rest will follow.
Mm-hmm. So then Mamor Capital, after a long experience-filled career in various corporate jobs, you decide to become an entrepreneur. And why Mamor Capital? What did you see out there that you thought, this is where I want to go and this is what I want to do?
Sure. The start of Mamor Capital was really a challenge to myself. Really, how I got into it. I was really challenging myself. I'm one person, I'm self-driven, and I'm very inspired by people who take ownership of their craft, who really are in the driving seat of their own life and make things happen. So that really inspires me. But, starting a business has always been an insecurity for me, because in as much as I had been exposed to people who ran businesses in family, but have never been close to it. I can't say I learned to run a business, through my family, or I had been that close to owning a business. So that has always been an area of development, or where I'm not quite sure. And I've always wanted to see if I could do it. I've always wanted to challenge myself, and that was number one. And number two, I'm very much value driven when I do things, and you question things. I really think organizations should do things like this. I think so I feel very strongly about how certain things should be done, leadership and so forth. And when I sat one day and compiled and say, what? If I put myself in a situation where I really could fully express my own values, how I want to do things, my leadership style, without necessarily complaining that somebody else doesn't do it. Let's see how I would do it if I had the opportunity. And for me, it sort of made sense that if you ran your own business, then you'd be able to say that you could do it, and whatever that you believe should be done is doable. And that's how I presented the challenge to myself. And when I left corporate, I wanted to do exactly that. But more importantly, it was also the opportunity to really be able to make an impact in the lives of people, drive the change that I want to see by utilizing what I love the most, the world of investments. And yeah, it just made so much sense. Great combination.
So let's talk about Mamor now then. You've given us a clue, I think, to my next question, which is the vision, mission. What is it that you're trying to do?
So what we're really trying to do, we have looked at the market. We have seen the gaps. We can see where the continent is at in terms of economic positioning. We're seeing the impact of technology in driving change and unlocking economic opportunities. But we also see that, there are certain areas where there's not enough representation of people who actually make the majority of the buying power in the economy where we operate. And I think largely what drives our vision is that market opportunity and the impact that we believe that we can make. So what are we trying to do? We're trying to drive accelerate digital and financial inclusion, leveraging our own investment expertise to accelerate that growth. And we just believe that we're living in a times where, research says that, in Africa, the digital gap is more than 3 times the global average just in Africa alone. And we're living in markets where, Africa is still experiencing the largest and the growing number of consumer base, than other countries. And we are a young country. We have a large number of young people, and that position represent and screams opportunity. So what we're trying to do is to really use investments to transform the economy, to drive digital inclusion, and just to make sure that we build a digitally connected Africa.
So you look at investments. This is something that you've been doing all your life. As Mamor, how do you assess the potential of companies that you invest in? What are you looking for with partners?
Okay, so at the moment, we fund early stage businesses that are in their growth phase, that are looking to grow, that operate within 3 pillars of investment, being within the ICT, within the payment space, and we fund digital trade, which is more platform economy type of businesses, technology-enabled businesses with scalable business models. That's what we do, and we fund in South Africa and outside of South Africa. So what are we looking for? The main thing is we are backing teams, we're backing founders, we're backing businesses because of who runs them and the capability of the founders to be able to execute on the strategy that they run. So it's very, very important for us to consider demonstrable experience that the founders have, their intellectual honesty when you're dealing with them, when you're interacting with them, how they show up, how honest and open they are about what they can and they cannot do. And people who are more teachable as well, who understand collaboration and partnership, because in most cases when you're funding businesses, founders are creative, they are good at what they have and what they put into the table. But we have learned that when it comes to issues maybe of governance, because sometimes early stage businesses of governance, strategy, that's where we are able to add value. So when you bring in partners who are collaborative and are willing to work, then you can create much more good value out of that. So experience and really the capacity to execute on the strategy that you're talking about really, really makes are the key consideration. And of course, in addition to that, we look at the viability, we look at the market, the go-to-market strategy, and the ability to actually execute on that strategy. It has to be scalable business model that can grow. And we also look at whether can we be able to make an impact here? Can we be able to help you drive that strategy and grow to be able to generate the returns that we would expect as investments? So financial viability and so on, we look at that. But the key thing is to know that you're backing the right team.
As a level one Black female-owned company, I know that empowering women is something that's important to you. Talk to us a little bit about how you're able to do that, and is that something that is important in terms of your investments as well?
Yes, I think we consider that very, very important. We consider inclusivity, gender representation, diversity and inclusion within the workplace is quite key in our investment evaluation as well. We look at the strategy of businesses that we invest in, the composition, what is the representation? And if you do not have women representation, if you do not have diverse teams in terms of what you bring to the table, how can that be done, over the investment horizon to be able to enhance the value of the business? So it's a key consideration for us. We have a gender smart strategy as well, where we are targeting more than 30% of our portfolio to be in women-owned businesses. Either they are women-owned, they are women-led, or they have women representation at the leadership level, or even the products that are being produced or solutions being produced. Do they benefit women? Do they benefit young people? So that is integrated in our own investment valuation process. So it's quite key. But over and above that, we also do mentorships for other businesses, and even in my personal capacity, continue to do mentorship to other women to support. Remember, I mentioned earlier on the benefit, and one of the experiences that I've had that have really, really shaped how I look at myself, how I show up in the industry, has been to learn from those who had gone ahead of me, and having gotten the experience, just having somebody who can speak to you and affirm you, or also hold you to account, and not let you make excuses or let yourself be off the hook when you're supposed to do what you're supposed to do. So we do exactly that as well in the industry, and make sure that women who own businesses or who are just leaders, we're able to provide them that support in the form of mentorship and coaching.
Or perhaps as a final thought, what's your vision for the future? What do you see ahead for Mamor Capital and yourself as well, personally?
Yes. So as Mamor Capital, we really want to drive digital inclusion and financial inclusion, and we're using investment to do that. We want to see transformation in the space that improves the quality of lives of people, and we do that through investment. So in our minds, an ideal world, it's a world that's able to leverage technology and drive digital inclusion and change and improve the quality of lives of people at the same time. And we want to see ourselves at the center of that, and we want to see a world that is digitally connected whilst improving the lives of people.
Mamokete, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so, so much indeed for your time. And we wish you the best of luck in your ventures going forward.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you, Peter. I appreciate the time.